Welcome back to the call up. You got Aram Layton, Jack McMullen. We've got a ton of highlights to check in on. I think headlines across minor league and Major League Baseball. We got Connelly Early making his MLB debut. One of the most impressive MLB debuts we've seen in a while. Brandon Sproat as well, debuting with the Mets, of course, early with the Red Sox. Jesus Mate, after just 27 games in high A, already up to double A. Also going to double A, Josue De Paula, Zyhir Hope, Aidan Miller also got promoted. We got a lot more to talk about, and there are so many, I think, just exciting wrinkles in the minor leagues as we wind down the season. But, Jack, I know you were calling a game, so you couldn't watch it live. That's the beautiful thing about what we got in our world now, where you can pretty much watch every single second of the start afterwards and
Yeah.
every pitch from every angle. That Connelly early start. I texted you about it while you were broadcasting. Did it deliver to the expectations? Did it underwhelm based on how much I hyped it up, or did it overwhelm?
It exceeded my expectations based on the initial text. You texted me, and I was actually on my way home. I was already listening to that game on the radio on my way home because it was in Sacramento. So we had East Coast night game, they had West Coast night game. So I was able to get back and watch innings 3 through 5 of his start, and it was borderline unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I know that we're building up Tolley, and Tolley is a very good prospect and a better prospect than Connolly Early. But in terms of hitting the ground running, I know Tolley was really good in his debut against Pittsburgh. Early was better, man. Like this guy, I'll give you the exact line on Connolly Early: 5 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 11 punchouts on Tuesday night against the A's in Sacramento. This is a very hitter friendly ballpark. It didn't matter because this guy was showing as advanced stuff as any lefty that has debuted this year. Is that fair to say?
Yes. Yeah, and pitchability as well. And I saw just the classic. Oh, well, it's the A's. The A's in Sacramento are real
The
tough to get
A's can
out.
hit.
They can hit, especially in Sacramento. And I thought that's what was even more impressive is he went right after these guys. It was the one walk, as you mentioned. A really interesting wrinkle with Early as well. He has never struck out more than 10 in an outing since he started his collegiate career, which was at Army, by the way, in 2020. COVID season canceled that. So then he pitched 2 seasons at Army. Then he transferred to UVA, where he got a lot of run, but he wasn't a Friday night guy. He was a midweek guy for UVA, and the Red Sox identified him and have done their thing. Where again, you can't really. I don't think there's a case to be made against what the Red Sox are doing pitching wise right now, and I think Early's another really exciting example of that. But it's really interesting. The last time he had struck out 10 or more
Yeah.
before the debut was his last AAA start a week ago. Before that, the last time he struck out 10, I think was against East Carolina
Yeah.
in
At UVA.
yeah, at UVA, June 4th, 2023. So that part's really amazing, but really zeroing in on this start specifically, it really was the feel for all of his pitches, which hasn't been there in every single start this year, right? I mean, there's been points where I think you see him walk a few guys, and I mean, when he's on, he's been on and dominant, but there's been some other outings where maybe some of the secondaries aren't there as much, and he can still make it work between the fastball and the changeup, because the changeup was a pitch preseason that we put a 65 on, and it's playing like that, if not better. But I think what's clear with Early is one, the velocity uptick this year and just the quality of fastball that's really setting the tone for him. Then two, distinguishing the breaking balls and being able to have the feel for those two still overall has been huge as well. So now you've got a 4 pitch mix that you've got to respect, and he's also mixing in some sinkers as well. So you could really say five. But I think that's the part that is so fascinating. Like, he's the kind of pitcher where it's got to be so much fun as a catcher to call a game and really work with that arsenal.
Because you have everything at your disposal really in any count. And it was cool. I was listening to Connolly Early's post-game availability, like his press conference, and he was shouting out Carlos Narvaez. What we have learned about Narvaez so far this year is that he is a whisperer of
Mm-hmm.
sorts. This guy can be the catcher moving forward for the Boston Red Sox. And I understand that it was abysmal offensively for about a month and a half. But if Carlos Narvaez is going to handle a staff this well, and be the whisperer for Lucas Giolito and Bayo and Handle Crochet and have Tolley looking awesome and have Early looking awesome. Like, dude, you have something magical on your hands, and it's amazing that that could look like a relatively even swap in about 2 years because it was Narvaez for Elmer Rodriguez Cruz going to New York. But man, Narvaez, he got a lot of credit from Connelly Early, and he can go to literally anything that he wants to go to from Early because he had the feel for everything. And it is like, it's interesting to me when a guy is making his debut on the road and has every tool at their disposal. That shouldn't happen in a major league debut. Adrenaline should take two pitches away, and it didn't take anything away from him.
No, and that's what was amazing is because you had and this was a testament to Early and a testament to Narvaez to the way that each pitch was setting up the other. There was a couple things that stood out to me with a couple of the Ks. There was a K looking to Jacob Wilson and a K looking to Tyler Soderstrom, where they both looked at fastballs kind of center cut and just went down looking and we're already like almost walking to the dugout as the pitch crossed home plate. And to me, that usually says a hitter is pretty domed up about the secondaries and you're kind of deep into your mind of which am I going to see, and then that fastball that has a little bit more giddy up than you expect, it just freezes you. The other thing that was really interesting was the way that again Early and Narvaez were tunneling and setting things up where the slider 87 was located, let's say there was a couple of pitches to Rooker. I remember like that where hard slider, it's a gyro slider, so it's going to mostly break downwards. And that started right at the edge of the zone and dropped below it at like 87, right? So Rooker swings over that. So Rooker's thinking either maybe a fastball above that, maybe he goes to that pitch again. And right after that pitch, he goes to this two-plane curveball that starts about 3-4 inches higher and then ends up breaking about 3-4 inches lower, and Rooker swings right over that. And because at that point, if you're Rooker, you're thinking, well, if it's a slider, it's a strike. If it's a fastball, it's a strike. The only pitch that's not a strike is if it's that curveball, and that's what it was. Even if it's a changeup, you might get the edge. You got to spoil it. The only one where you're not going to have a shot at is a curveball getting 15 horizontal and 10 vertical, and that's exactly what it was, or maybe vice versa, and just dives off the table. And that was the setup there. Similar thing to Shea Langoliers, where he goes fastball up and away, and then right after that, change up, kind of starting right in a similar spot and fading away, strike three, swinging through it as well. Felt like every pitch kind of facilitated the other pitch. And I thought that was interesting also, how much more he threw the sinker this outing. He's never thrown more than like 10 sinkers in an outing this year.
Yeah.
And here he was in this one. He threw about 13 of them.
Yeah. Early, like, I don't know, the mix seemed really interesting to me. And also using the fastball as the get out of jail free card was also fun because you look at the specs, like induced vert, he was right around 15, but that's a really, really low release height, right? I didn't see
Yeah.
an exact release height measurement.
Well, in the extension. So he's definitely below average release. It's about like 5'5" to 5'6", which again average is about 5'9". So that's low. And then he's working so well on the mound. He's hitting 7 feet of extension.
Yeah.
So that's going to get on you, and the ride's going to play up from that extension and that low release. And again, you think about that's riding up on you, and then you've got everything else breaking down and away. I know you love pitcher mechanics.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think definitely when I saw him in spring and when we made him the number 8 prospect preseason in a really good Red Sox system. Remember, that's before
Yeah.
several of their top guys graduated. He'd probably be top 5 if we had updated it in time. Um, the athleticism stood out to me, but it seems like he's moving even more athletically, right? Like when you talk about the mechanics, just what stands out to you in terms of just how he moves?
Uh, how much he can use his arms and legs to his advantage, and also like how concerted everything is moving down the mound. Like it's all moving in one rhythm and
And
in
it's like
one fell swoop.
loose, right? It's like it's
It's
loose.
super loose, but it's controlled at the same time. It just looks like this guy's a freak athlete. And I saw Dallas Braden popped in that baseball is dead live stream, and I saw this clipped on Twitter. Braden said it reminds him a little bit of Sale. And I was like, okay, I understand that from the loose arm swing and everything, but I also don't understand that because Sale looks a bit disjointed when he's pitching.
Yeah,
This was incredibly smooth. For
I
me,
agree.
this is a limby guy, long arms and legs, that is moving perfectly down the mound.
Is for a guy that throws so unorthodox, is Chris Sale the most comp two pitcher like of all time now?
Probably, but honestly, what it is a lefty from a low three quarters release. Like any lefty from a low three quarters release that has a little bit of that whippiness and it's not Madison Bumgarner is just going to get comped to Chris Sale.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But
there are classic comps for a lot of people, right? Every big shortstop is going to get comped to Corey Seager or Carlos Correa, depending on which side of the plate you hit on. Every lefty from a low three quarters slot, if it's not Madison Bumgarner, it's Chris Sale.
yeah,
It really is amazing that those are the comps you kind of fall into. And I understand like where it comes from entirely, but this is way smoother than Sale really ever was when he was younger. And smoother doesn't always mean better. Like
no,
some of the
no,
best
no.
pitchers in baseball are incredibly disjointed, um, or at least give off that look like they know how their body timing works. But this just seems really sustainable, and it seems like he can get the train back on the tracks if it ever came off, and it didn't come off.
Yeah,
And these are two really, really good lefties that you can, I guess, pencil into the 26 rotation, but also be really excited about blossoming at the
mhm.
major league level. In Tolley, who is a totally different look, humongous person, power pitcher, early. That seems like kitchen sink with some serious juice too. Kitchen sink that happens to be 97.
Yeah, because he was never grabbing 95s, 96s really. Oh, he maybe occasionally, but I mean the fastball average 93. Yeah, yeah. I mean last year actually the exact specs fastball average 92.9
Yeah.
and you know I think you look at it this year it's about 93.9, but in an adrenaline up outing here he averaged 94 plus. So and he seems like he's got it in there when he needs it to go dial it up for a little bit extra. At last note on early before we move on, he walked five in his AAA debut, as like everybody on Earth does. We're going to talk probably a little bit about Thomas White maybe as well to squeeze in here,
Yeah.
but and Thomas White had a great outing, but he also walked a ton in his first AAA. How many? If we had a dollar for every time a guy walks, more than he has all year, or as many as he has all year in a AAA debut, like we'd be making, I think, a pretty good amount of money here. But
Yeah.
since that first start in AAA, where he walked five, he's made 6 cents, and he has walked just seven in the 122 batters that he's faced, and that's including the big league debut. So that's
Yeah.
a 5.7% walk rate. So something clicked here with him. And I do think the Red Sox really like the staff that they have in Worcester as well. And so it could have been maybe just a little Q thing here or there. And Early looks like he's going to be a piece for them. You got Tolley, as you mentioned, Early, Giolito,
Bayo.
all of this. And then, of course, you've got one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball in Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
Bayo has been amazing.
Bayo's
All of
on
a
an
sudden, this
extension
this
too.
Red Sox staff is in a really, really good spot moving into next year. And in terms of taking stock, I think they're going to be one of the more hyped teams in Major League Baseball going into next season, and they deserve every bit of it. And I know that people still want to focus on this year, but I
Sure.
can't help but look at next year and say, man, they've got some good things going.
And you've got Perales coming back from Tommy John at some point next year as
And
well.
that's the best fastball in the system, like by
Yeah.
a mile, even if you include it early. Maybe Toley would be the only fastball, I guess, that's better.
Yeah.
And I think you'd have to go toe to toe with those two. It would be a really fun comparison.
Very last thing on Connelly Early. The story is really cool, right? 2 years at the U.S. Military Academy. If you stay for three, you have to enlist. Like it's the Paul Skeens Air Force thing where he had to leave the Air Force Academy after his sophomore year if he were to play and avoid that, waiver issue. By the way, Noah Song to AAA Worcester in the Red Sox organization. So you got that too. And that's a guy that had to enlist and, serve for 4 years before jumping back into baseball. So Connelly Early was at the U.S. Military Academy at West Point for 2 years, had to transfer, went to UVA, got better. Strikeout stuff was good. He was amazing at Army, and then he was really good at UVA, and then has been a rocket ship through the minor leagues. So it's a fun, unorthodox ascension through the minor leagues, and it's really cool to see this guy.
Yeah, I mean those are the stories, and it's just crazy with where pitching's at, where you can find arms from anywhere, and it's all about the development on the on the other side of things, and another good example of the Red Sox identifying and developing very, very well on the pitching front. Uh, we're going to talk Thomas White, but before that, we also have another big league debut. And we thought that Brandon Sproat was going to come before Jonah Tong. And then once Jonah Tong came up to the big leagues, we thought, well, maybe we won't see Sproat. Why not both? And we get both. Sproat was awesome, effectively wild, fine. And I don't think it was crazy, crazy wild. But anytime you see four walks, you're gonna say, okay, it's a little bit wild. But in Cincinnati, Great American Ballpark, where I was a little bit worried. I'm thinking, okay, doesn't have a home run problem per se, but in the games where he has had rough outings, it's usually an ambush of home runs. Yeah, that goes back to last year where he'd go 4 or 5 starts without allowing a home run, and then he had multiple outings last year where he allowed 3 homers. And it's kind of the same story this year where not a lot of home runs. I think he's only allowed a handful, but 3 in one game and 2 in another. So I'm thinking, oh, maybe it snowballs on him in Great American. It didn't. He was really darn good. 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 walks, and 7 Ks. He got the loss in that one. Tough
Yeah.
L to get, but it's what happens when you go opposite of Hunter Green, who went 7 innings of 1 run ball with 12 strikeouts. But he gave his team a shot,
Yeah.
and that's all you can ask for from the young man.
So Sproat, it was interesting. I mean, he is a sinker and four seam guy, at least. They were being tagged as separate pitches. Did you see the strike rates on his offerings? He threw 11 four seamers, 27% strike rate. Three of
I'm looking at
11
that right
four
now.
seamers. Yeah,
That's
three of
bizarre.
11 four seamers were strikes. 15 to 24 sinkers were strikes, 63%. When you combine the fastballs, that's a strike rate at 50% or just under. That's not good whatsoever. But the curveball, 13 to 19 were for strikes. The changeup, 8 of 8 were for strikes. And the sweeper, 17 of 22 were for strikes. So he was landing all of the secondaries. He just wasn't landing the fastballs.
What do you make of that?
Four seam up top, he was hyped up, and you're gonna miss upstairs, I guess. That's what I make of it, to be honest with you. Sometimes it's easier for guys who are rolling on adrenaline to land a breaking ball.
I'm looking at the misses too.
Were they all
There's
upstairs?
they're 4 in a cluster up arm side, and not egregious misses, but they're about 5 inches off the plate to the arm side, and then you have 3 in a cluster to the glove side. So it's
Yeah.
either like amped up, lost it behind me, amped up, tugged it.
Right.
So, and then I guess to your point, when he's going to the secondaries, it's like, okay, well, I can't rip the
You got
crap
to
out
stay
of this.
within yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. 8 for 8 on the changeup says a lot to me, which is funny because that is a pitch that I'd imagine he still just throws the crap out of. I've
Yeah.
talked about that pitch as it disappeared from him at points this year or early this year, and then it really came back, and I think has been huge for him. And it's that splinker light kind of action to it that I think is really effective. But to have that sweeper and the curveball at that clip, I think at the end of the day, that's the most encouraging. I have more confidence in Sproat being able to regain fastball command.
Yes.
I would generally think, and the four seamer's been hit or miss for him this year at points, but the sinker has been all over the zone, and I think that'll be right there back for him. And as he's gotten back to being Sproat again, it's been that four seamer that's been a big part of his success over the last handful of starts because you think about that pitch running up at the top, the sinker off of it, and then all of these secondaries. He's going to be a volatile arm. I think
Yeah.
that's clear. But this is a guy that when he's on, he can be on no hitter watch. I really do believe that. When you get the four seamer playing at the top, the sinker getting ground balls off of that, that splinker that also gets you ground balls, and then the pair of breaking balls that have distinguished themselves so well. I do think this is a guy that can be a monster. As it pertains to right now, it's kind of survival mode and see if he can throw enough strikes. But
Yeah.
I think this is a perfect example of he doesn't even need to have 50 grade command in a start. He can have 40 grade command overall in a start, and he can give you a shot to win most of the times out there. And I think the most important part of that is that's a place where you get burned if you walk guys. In Great American, you're going to get burnt, and he didn't. So
Yeah.
we'll see how the follow up is and everything. But I think with the way that the Mets staff is shaken out right now, I think Sproat's a guy that deserves some runway here.
Three-game set against the Rangers at Citi Field this weekend. If you're in New York, I would recommend going. Tong, Sproat, McLean. Friday at
Oh,
7 o'clock, Tong. Saturday at 4, Sproat. Sunday at 1:30, McLean.
this feels like 2015 all over
It
again.
totally does. It totally does. And again, like I set up Ryan Finkelstein on the Just Baseball show 2 weeks ago to give me a 2015 answer. I said, this is the most excited you've been for a young pitching tandem since. And it was just a layup. 2015, Harvey, DeGrom, Matz, Wheeler, all of these guys, man. And I understand that Peterson is struggling as of late, or at least it's been hot and cold. Peterson was an all-star this year. Shit, Sanga's in AAA with a 3 ERA. Holmes, he can pivot to a closer role whenever he wants. Like, there's a lot of excitement here on the Mets pitching front, and this weekend is going to be so much fun to watch. Tong, Sproat, McLean all take on the Texas Rangers.
Don't forget 22-year-old Thor.
Oh,
With
yeah,
the
Syndergaard.
but yeah, it's fascinating because I think for this team to you mentioned they can maybe shuffle things around. They need to figure out what the hell they're going to do, and so each of these starts is valuable intel for this front office to kind of
And,
make that decision
And
and
it's
what they
funny
want to do.
because those are far and away the three most encouraging starts they get each turn. You know,
Yeah,
Peterson, like if he goes 6 innings of one-run ball, it's like, okay, good, we expect that. He's an all-star. Holmes, it's like, what is this guy doing? Mania went what, 2 innings of 5-run ball or 3 innings of 5-run ball the other day. It was just bad. Like all the vets are bad and all the youngins are,
I kind
shooting,
of like
hulking
Mania maybe
everybody.
out of the pen too.
Yeah.
Crossfire, let it rip in the mid '90s. Just bump all the vets to the pen, see what happens.
Crazy.
But we'll go Thomas White next.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Thomas White, I it's funny. We're gonna throw out comps right now, and I think some of them are silly. But we were talking about this in the dugout actually pregame at Lone Depot, and I was curious if you were going to just like vomit on my shoes. But Thomas White's giving some Blake Snell, and I think that should make Marlins fans excited
Yes.
because the reason why Blake Snell works is that his margin for error is so wide because his stuff is so crazy and he can beat you with 2.5 pitches, even though he has an assortment of them, whatever's there that day. And I think that's exactly what Thomas White is too. The specs on these pitches it's stupid, man. The fastball average is 96 with great life. That pitch opponents are hitting 185 against. The curveball is disgusting. It's disgusting. And it's a power curve at 83 from his release point with his long arm action. Opponents are hitting 136 against it. The changeup, I think, could easily be his best pitch because of the way it works off the fastball. Opponents are hitting 182 against that. And then he's added this slider, and that's a pitch that's kind of lagging behind a little bit from a surface level statistical standpoint. Like opponents do have a 300 batting average against it, but it has a 67% strike rate, a 22% swinging strike rate, and a 32% in zone whiff rate, which are all plus data points. It's just execution for him.
Can you give me those specs again? Let's go pitch by pitch because I have Snell's Savant page up right now.
Okay, so
Four seamer, would you say it sat at?
average is 96 miles per hour.
Okay. Snell sat last year. I'm going off last year, 95.9. So 96.
Yeah, so actually, to be exact, Thomas is 95.7.
95.7. Okay. Snell is 95.9 with how much vert?
So the vert, let me go to a plot real quick. But it's also interesting because the release characteristics are probably a little bit different.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe Snell would be a little bit more over the top.
yeah, and White's kind of like long, loose arm action, but I would just say above average carry.
Okay.
Um,
So Snell is above average carry. He's at 17 and a half inches of induced vert on
yeah,
average. So
yeah, that's good.
I nearly identical fastballs. Give me the curveball again.
The curveball is 83 miles per hour, and it's just powered downer. I've got the now I'm going side by side here with the plots, but it's like this sweeping curveball at 83 miles per hour.
Yeah, so Snell has that big downer curve at
That's the
81
difference. So his is
miles an
more
hour.
1260, right?
Yeah,
Whereas so it's about 12 horizontal and 5 vert on this Thomas White like sweeping curveball.
yeah.
But it's a dominant pitch.
Changeup.
87 and a half, getting 13 inches of horizontal and zero vert.
Yeah, so 85 and a half for Snell, and the changeup last year was getting 14 inches of arm side
Yeah.
and -4 revert.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Or no, sorry, 10 avert.
he's getting, or
Wait, where am
really?
I reading this? The induced numbers are a little weird on Savant.
It is weird on Savant. I'll pull it up. Wait, actually, I can compare them side by side right
Yeah,
now.
there you go. Do that.
But what's crazy is even if the stuff is like, no, you are right. He gets like vert on the fastball, or on the
Or on the
changeup,
changeup.
excuse me.
Yeah, it's 10 avert and then it runs arm side too.
Yeah, there's some funky deception to it. But when you're looking at the pitch mix, it's not entirely like crazy different. And even the curveballs, like they're not as far apart as I thought they'd be. But at the point being, like they kind of have a similar assortment here. I think the shapes are a little bit different, arm actions are a little bit different, but you've got four seamer at a similar velocity. Changeup that I think that the asset for Snell is that he gets a little bit more velo separation, but for White, he gets more vertical separation. And maybe not as much horizontal as Snell, but he gets more vertical. And then the gyro slider is a really really good pitch where it's like it looks like Snell's is more of kind of like this cutterish
Yeah.
slider. Both work really well. It seems like for Snell, he has more of a natural just carry to everything he throws.
Yeah.
But with White, it's pretty similar when you just look at the arsenal and the velo kind of checkpoints of each offering. It's just slightly different shapes based on the arm action and the arm angles because you got like a 57-degree arm angle from a Blake Snell, and then you've got about a when you look at the fastball arm angle for Thomas White, it's about 40 degrees. So you're just looking at two completely different release points there, but I think they're kind of the same type of pitcher in the way that they're going to attack you. And then the command is kind of the same thing, the effectively wild
Yeah.
component to things.
The fact that we could just do a pitch by pitch side by side of Thomas White and Blake Snell, you're right, should get Marlins fans salivating right now at what could be the case. Snell has won 2 Cy Young awards.
Yeah. And I think the difference with Snell is remember he was very frustrating at times when he wasn't executing, and then when he is executing, he's a Cy Young winner, and like that becomes the conundrum there. And I think that's the fun part and the frustrating part. And when I look at Snell and what he does, it's almost an identical pitch usage distribution too. I'm looking at 2024 Blake Snell, 47% fastball usage. Thomas White, 48%. 26% curveball usage for Blake Snell. Thomas White, 24%. 17% changeup usage for Blake Snell. Thomas White, 18%. 10% slider usage for Blake Snell. Thomas White, 11%.
Come on.
That's crazy.
Come on, man.
That's crazy. So again, what we kind of the shape discrepancies are mostly related to arm angle, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of the pitch shapes, the way that they work off of each other, are going to have a similar result for White because the arm angle is different. So I like that's obviously the best case scenario, but it's really not far fetched. And we hate comps on here, but like I couldn't help but think of it, especially after this last outing where at Charlotte in his AAA debut, Thomas White goes 4 2/3, 3 hits, 3 earned, 6 walks, and 10 strikeouts. So
And he hit Joshua Palacios with 98 in the face.
yeah, and he looked like he felt so
Oh, he
badly.
did, yeah. And,
And then
Palacios, he posted on Instagram, was like, I promise I feel better than I look, but he's okay. In Palacios,
I know you love Palacios too, right? Great
the
guy.
man. He is the freaking man. Yeah.
But White also, like when you see like a guy look so like shaken by that, then you think, oh, it might affect his start. He was still really effective from there. But the fact that he can get through, I mean, and in a big league outing, they probably let him finish the fifth there. But the fact that he can punch out 10 and get through that when he threw 47 strikes and 94 pitches. Like he's going to have days where he is frustrating and he's still going to give you a good shot to win. And the outing before that, his final Double-A start, he went 5 no hit. He walked 4, but he struck out 10. So it's like if you're not giving up hits, it doesn't matter. And that's kind of the Blake Snell thing. He's like, okay, I walked you, but I didn't give up a hit in the last 3 innings. So if I walk 2 guys, but I don't give up any hits, from a whip perspective, it still works.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the story with Thomas White as well. And I think that's what makes him effective is from a whip perspective, he's gonna be okay. And that's like 85 innings. He's allowed 55 hits this year.
Dude.
He's got a lot of wiggle room there.
Yeah.
If he's Blake Snell light, I don't know what a Blake Snell light looks like. I guess just the same thing, just a little bit more volatile. Which okay, maybe you don't win two Cy Youngs, but you have two top 10 Cy Young finishes, and then your frustrating stretches are a little bit more frustrating. But the thing that's interesting with White is he's 20 years old. And I think he's got a little bit more time to kind of get things going here and clean up the strike throwing. And what I do feel encouraged by with White is that though none of the strike rates are extremely high, none of them are extremely low. So when I be like by that I mean every pitch type is north of a 60% strike rate, but none of them aside from the slider are north of a 62% strike rate. So to me it says okay, at least he's in the zone enough or throwing enough strikes, but he's going to need to find just a couple percentage points maybe in each pitch. But a lot of guys that have command issues, you'll see 65% strike rate on the fastball, and then it's 45 or 54 on the secondaries on the changeup or the slider. And it's like once you get to the big leagues, pitchers are or hitters are just eliminating that pitch. So that's the difference. And then also Blake Snell made his big league debut at 23 years old. Thomas White's going to make his big league debut at 21 years old because he doesn't turn 21 until the end of this month.
Yeah. Blake Snell, I'm looking at his Cy Young year in 2023, and you made the point like it's kind of a whip game for Blake Snell. Blake Snell walked 99 guys. That led all of Major League Baseball, and he won the Cy Young in 2023. In that year, with 99 walks, he had a 1.19 whip. Justin Steele walked 36 and had a 3.06 ERA, and his whip was 1.17. You can get away with it with no base hits against you.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
That's outrageous. I think
White,
that's what he can be.
Yeah.
By the way, last thing on Thomas White, 2 home runs allowed all year, 12 extra base hits. Where's the damage going to come?
I guess the fastball, like if it's over the heart
If
of
you
the plate, but it hasn't come.
catch it, but like it's just 30% in zone whiff rate. And we went over this before. Do you remember who has one of the 2 home runs? By the way, both home runs would probably not be gone. One definitely wouldn't be gone at Lone Depot. The other one maybe hugs the line.
Yeah. And one of the 2 came from Austin Hendrick, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one you wouldn't even guess because I don't even know who. I don't really know if I know much about him. Wilfred Veras,
Birmingham.
Birmingham.
Right? White Sox.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only reason I know that name.
And it's 625 OPS on the season. Baseball's hilarious.
Dude, so funny. All right. I know we're going to get to some other minor league promotions in a moment, but before that, Thomas White just got my brain turning a little bit because if you're in the box against him, you're probably fearing for your life, right? And that'll get you thinking, how can I protect my family? I want to make sure that they're all good if Thomas White does get me by being effectively wild. And that is why you should trust our friends at Ethos Life Insurance. Ethos Life Insurance is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not in months. No complicated process. It is 100% online. There's no medical exam required. All you got to do, answer a few health questions. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. And life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customize a rate that fits your budget. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/justbaseball. That's ethos, ethos.com/justbaseball.
You know what I was thinking about too? Who was it? Was it John Sterling that got hit in the booth?
Yeah.
You got to think about that too. I don't have. I don't
Ow, it really hit me.
I don't.
It glanced off my forehead.
It's one of my favorites. I don't trust your reactions. You
I
told me
trust
you
my
think it might be hard to react in time.
Come on, I trust my reactions.
Oh, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, man.
Next, what we got? We got hitters now, right?
Yep, we're going to hitters and we're going to Jesus Mate, who just got the bump up to Double-A Biloxi. You see where his first hit came?
In terms of like where? Oh, yeah, it was in
In
Beloit.
terms of result?
Right? Or no, it was in Birmingham. In Birmingham.
I think it was in Birmingham, but it was a two-run triple. That's what I meant.
Oh
Like
yeah,
his
the
first
pitch
double A
itself.
hit was a two-run triple.
It was it was a changeup that was like two or three balls off the plate away. I have no idea why. By the way, it was second and third, I believe. I don't remember how many outs, but it was a changeup like two, three balls away. For whatever reason, the outfield was playing like crazy like they're playing in Brooklyn, and he just beat him over the head. But to hit a changeup two, three balls off the plate away and beat the outfielders over the head. It was still 90 something off the bat. And from the right side, first, like a triple like that. This guy he's just got that it factor. Right? Same thing we talk about with, oh my gosh, I'm going to draw a blank on Leo DeVries. Jeez.
Yes.
Same thing we talk about with Leo DeVries is like, there's just this gamer it factor, a knack for the big moments, and what I think DeVries homered again the other day as well.
He
It's like
did.
you could probably just drop these guys at any level, and they might get challenged over a span of time, but they're gonna rise to the occasion and just have these moments.
Dude. Jesus Mate in 27 games with High A Wisconsin hit 343 with a 415 OBP and a 500 slug. So that's a 915 OPS. And in 27 games, this guy had 11 extra base hits, five bags, and he only punched out about, what, 17% of the time? 16,
Yep.
17% of the time? So on the year, he's hitting 287, 83 games in low A, 27 games in high A, and 2 for 5 with a two-run triple at his double A debut.
I think they're looking at Made and now, and he's playing second base in the last few games. He's starting to play second base a little bit more. And we've kind of always said that that was probably what was going to happen, especially with just how far ahead the bat is from the glove. And just I think where they're at, it is fascinating though because you look at the big league situation, you say, well, why not see if he can stick it short? Well, now he's sharing an infield with Cooper Pratt,
Yeah.
and you know how much they love Cooper Pratt. And Pratt may not be the most sexy offensively, but I know they love the glove, and
Yeah.
so I'm interested to see what they're going to do development wise with Made, in terms of how much second base for a shortstop he's going to play.
To,
I don't really know,
to be
but
honest, this is pretty easy to me. Terang, I know, has won a platinum glove at second. Move him to short.
I'm with you on
He
that.
can play a very good shortstop. Ortiz looks like a bench bat right now. I know he had a great year last year. It has been a terrible year
Yeah,
offensively for Joey Ortiz.
unfortunately. And maybe
Yeah.
he can regain that value, but at this point, yeah, if it happens, it's going to be on another team. But for now, for your ball club, yeah, he looks like a bench bat who could play phenomenal defense at three different spots, right?
Yeah.
And I agree with you because for a team that values defense so much, Mate could develop into a good second baseman. I think you're just hoping that if you try the shortstop thing, you're hoping he can develop into a shortstop. Period.
Yeah.
Terang could be a phenomenal shortstop. They should extend Terang before they move him to
Oh,
shortstop
dude.
if they even can still, and I think they can. But that infield situation would be so exciting, and it's all about the offense. And we'll make this the exception episode here, where we do throw around some comps a little bit more than we normally do, because the one that did feel just natural with Made was that Cattell Marte comparison, where you
Yeah.
just have this elite defense, or excuse me, elite offense and power at this second base position, that you can just you don't really see, and then the switch hitter and all that he brings to the table. What's amazing to me with Mate is I still think there's more to unlock just through cleaning up the mechanics, like the moving parts, the big barrel tip, like all those things. He makes it work because he has elite bat speed and ridiculous bat to ball and good plate discipline. But I think the game could be even easier for him if he simplifies those things. I know the Brewers have ID'd that too, and that's something that once he hits a little bit more adversity, maybe in AAA or in the show, or maybe at some point in AA, they'll start to hammer that home a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's the exciting part with Made is there's probably even more in the tank. You see the 6 home runs, ton of doubles, six triples this year, but I think there's 20 plus homers in the tank as he just gets a little bit more comfortable with his timing and simplifying the moves and elevating to the pull side more consistently. But you highlighted that 27 game stretch and then immediately getting to AAA for the 28th game. In that stretch, 37% ground ball rate. So
Wow.
oh, that's a huge wrinkle because before that it was nearly 50%. So he's already seemingly finding ways to elevate the ball more consistently.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, it seems like, and obviously there are comps in terms of the ascension and the quickness in which the ascension has come place or taken place to that at Chorio a couple of years ago with Milwaukee, but it really does seem like Brewers fans are looking at this with the same level of intrigue that they looked at Choreo 2 years ago. And that is amazing to think about.
It's impossible not to. He
I know.
doesn't turn 19 until May 8th.
I know.
It's awesome stuff.
All right, let's jump to a pair of Dodgers here. Josue De Paula and Zyhir Hope both go to Double A Tulsa from High A Great Lakes. Those guys were tearing up High A together, sharing an outfield. Let's start with De Paula, and then we'll go to Zyhir Hope. Josue De Paula, this is so exciting for another teenager who is trying to make his way up to the big leagues as quickly as possible. I guess not another teenager.
I
He's
was gonna
20 years
say
old.
he's over the hill now. He turned 20 a couple months ago.
Yeah, that's a shame. But Josue De Paula, tying a bow on his high A career, 98 games this year, 263 with a 406 OBP. Walked 81 times in 98 games, 827 OPS, 12 homers, 32 bags, and 40 attempts. He did go 0 for 5 with a walk and 2 punch outs in his Double A debut, so might be chalked, but DePaula, what a ridiculous season for him as a 19, 20-year-old in high A.
Especially with some injuries that really disrupted. I think he was on the cusp of really solidifying himself as one of the best bats in at that point the lower minors for sure. But missed some time. July 23rd, he hits the IL. Comes back August 16th, as is the case for most hitters. Took some time for him to settle back in. He went 0 for 18 in his return. Then on the 27th, that's when he got his first hit. And since then, has really started to settle back in. It's an 11 game stretch, even including that 0 for 5 you just mentioned. 11 game stretch, 350 batting average, OPS over 1,000. So got back into his rhythm, doing his thing again. It's elite swing decisions. It's good bat to ball. It's plus raw power that's starting to tick into at least above average game power, the 12 homers in 99 games. So a lot to like here, and it just still feels like he's scraping the surface of what he can be. I do think the injuries disrupted what could have been an even better year for him. So we'll see. Maybe he's a AFL candidate. I would love to see him out there, but I'm glad he's getting the bump up to double to get some additional reps and finish the season strong, which he has done. And just clearly, there's not much else to prove for him in high A.
No, probably same with his teammate Zyhir Hope. And Hope, the punch outs are certainly there. Looking at Zyhir Hope, 121 games, he was healthy and active the whole year. 264 with a 377 OBP, walked 78 times. 27 doubles, 13 homers, drove in 75, also had 26 bags. It was an 805 OPS. Does the strikeout, I guess, rate or propensity concern you a little bit with Zyhir Hope in high A or no?
A little bit. I think it'd be silly to say no. I think when you look at historically anyone striking out north of, 25, 26% of the time at high A, he's gonna have a harder time converting the hit tool at the highest level. I think the thing with Hope though that's important is one, I think he's run out of gas a little bit this year. Remember, he's a high school guy who was hurt last year, only played, I don't remember the exact amount, but it wasn't a lot of games. Then played the Arizona Fall League. This is by far, I think, more than double the amount of games he played last year in the regular season, and I think he's feeling it a little bit. Even in Double A, he got the day off, I think, in the first game there. But the thing that stands out to me is you can't teach the bat speed. Some of the most elite bat speed in the minor leagues, and that's why I think he's going to be able to cut down on the swing and miss as he gets more comfortable. The approach is also good, but could be better. Sometimes he borders on passive, but it seems like a simple little mechanical adjustment for him that I think is going to get him right. Right now, he's struggling to cover the top. And by that, I mean like fastballs with ride or just hard fastballs at the top of the zone. And if you look at the way that Hope is hitting, he really counter rotates.
Yeah.
Meaning, for those that aren't watching on YouTube, it basically means when you're loading, everyone's going to coil into their backside, but his front shoulder is almost facing the third base dugout as a left-handed hitter, right? Like his chest is facing the catcher. And you think about from there, then how much you need to uncork to get that barrel back on plane. It was an issue that Corbin Carroll talked about when he was going wrong of counter rotating, and then it would lead to him actually overstriding to try to unravel to get the barrel out in time. And I think that's just a simple fix for Hope. That's tough to do in season. You think about it. I want to hit ball hard. I'm gonna load up and really try to get into this backside. But as he gets reps and gets more comfortable through the offseason of, hey, I've got elite bat speed. I don't need to load up for this, power punch here and swing out of my shoes. I think realizing that he can stay a little bit more centered, have that chest facing a little bit more towards the pitcher, or at least, just straight forward. I think it's going to allow him to get the barrel on plane a lot more easily. The things that you can't teach are the elite bat speed. You can't teach an EV 90 of 109 miles per hour and a hard hit rate of 50%. And those are things that I think are ultimately going to prevail, especially with a 35% ground ball rate.
Yep. So Zyhir Hope goes from high A to double A. Let's jump from a guy going double to triple A. I feel like this guy's season has almost flown under the radar, but Aidan Miller is a Lehigh Valley Iron Pig now. Aidan Miller of the Philadelphia Phillies in his triple A debut, 0 for 2, 3 walks, 3 stolen bases.
Yeah.
108 games with Double A Reading, hit 259 with a 380 on base, had 13 homers, stole 52 bags, and had an 810 OPS. I don't know where he fits in moving forward. I mean, it could very well be, I guess, like he's only played shortstop, which is bizarre to me. Why wouldn't you try it somewhere else when the big league picture is becoming clearer and clearer at this point? But he's now a step away.
Well, because Trey Turner wasn't a good defender until this year. I
So where
don't
was,
know where
but
that.
where was Trey going to move? Because he got Stott at second.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the most important thing with Miller was, well, let's just make sure he can play shortstop, and then we'll go from there. And like he clearly can play shortstop, and I think that's the good part is okay. He's got the reps here. I was pretty skeptical the first time I saw him in the lower levels, watching him move at shortstop, and it's come along so much further where he looks like he can play there. I think you will get him as the future at the shortstop position at some point. I think eventually, especially if these hamstring issues continue to come up for Trey Turner, there might be a passing of the torch there a little bit. We'll see what that means for Stott and all that good stuff. But if you can play short, you can play third at a really high level, right? And so I think Miller might be third base, and he'll be phenomenal at third. And so I think that's the wrinkle that they like there. Miller's season flew under the radar, I think, because, and we talked about this on the heat sheet, Elijah and I, first 50 games, he had a 698 OPS.
Yeah.
And then since then, which is 59 games, he's just been a totally different hitter. 902 OPS, striking out 21% of the time, walking 18% of the time. The swing decisions have gone from good to elite. I mean, it is a phenomenal feel for the strike zone. The EVs are phenomenal as well. And then the bags. I didn't expect that to be a wrinkle in his game. You mentioned the 3 bags in the double A or the triple A debut. He's never taken 3 bags in a game before. Way harder to take 3 bags in triple A. It just seems like he's added these layers to his game where now, okay, I can stick at shortstop. Okay, because I don't think he was ever going to be an above average hit tool guy. I think it was clear that he's probably trending closer to average at best. Well, I'm adding more power. I'm extremely patient. My wheels are an asset now. I'm a good defender. Now, if he's a 45 hit tool, it doesn't matter because he's giving you value in so many other ways. This is a really good player, and there's a reason why even an aggressive Dave Dombrowski, he was clutching on to Aidan Miller.
Yeah, it seems like it, man. Another guy that didn't go that we thought could very well go, Aroon Escobar just got the bump to Double A Reading in the Phillies organization. We thought Escobar was like kind of slam dunk trade chip for them at the deadline, but they opted for Tait being on the move for obviously a big name and Yohan Duran. But Aroon Escobar, 69 games in low A this year, had an 828 OPS, 11 homers. 46 games with high A Jersey Shore, hit 256 with 4 homers, 19 driven in. Did steal 14 bags in 46 games. Just debuted at the Double A level, went 1 for 5 with a walk and a punch out. So on the year, 116 games, hitting 273 with 15 homers and 24 bags. Aroon Escobar. Do you feel like he's ready for the Double A level? He is 20 years old.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a challenge. But that's okay, right? Just more games, get him that challenge. He also has missed some time over the last couple of years with injury. He had an adjustment period in high A, and we saw that it was really rough out of the gate. And then his last 25 games, he had an 802 OPS. So I think just getting him up there now, clearly he's a guy that gets his feet wet and adjusts. Get him up there now. Let him get a handful of games to just kind of get acclimated and take that into the offseason, maybe the AFL as well, and see, just what you need to work on and hone in on. But I think it's been really encouraging that I think you could have taken the low A breakout with a grain of salt to a degree.
Yeah.
Even though I thought there was a lot to like there, and we talked about him a bunch. And then the high A struggles would have only validated maybe some skeptics, but then really hitting his stride over a 25 game sample there, and then now getting a chance in double A, I think will be really important for his development.
Gotcha. A couple more arms we got to talk about here. Liam Doyle of the St. Louis Cardinals. He made one start. You were there for it in Palm Beach. Liam Doyle, inning and two-thirds, one hit. It was a solo homer. He walked two and punched out three. He only faced seven hitters in his low A debut, and they immediately sent him to double A Springfield. So Doyle is going to double A as soon as he got his pro debut under his belt. I guess it's two short starts, one in high A, one in double, and then have a nice offseason. Liam Doyle, what did you see from the fifth overall pick this year?
So I don't want to take too much from, one, it's 42 pitches, and two, it's after a full collegiate season and after a layoff and all that. But, I had my questions about Doyle in terms of, and I feel really good that he's going to be at least a good big league reliever.
Yeah.
But just sitting there and watching, it just reminded me of some of the things that we were talking about around draft time, which was just how is he going to necessarily turn lineups over multiple times at maybe more challenging levels? And I still kind of sat there. It's less about that one outing, right? So less about the two innings. But just watching him throw, still just really thinking about that again. Fastball's great. We know that. It's also a little bit velocity dependent. And he came out there throwing hard, right? The first handful of fastballs were 98. And then by the time he came out for the second, I would actually say by the time he got to like the third batter, he started him with 94.7. Then it was 95.8. Then it was 96, 95. Then he comes back out for the next inning, 95, 95, 96, 94.8, 94.8, and then a couple 93s before calling it a day. That was a quick drop off. Again, a long year for him, a lot going on, but just something that I thought was interesting because he
Yeah.
definitely needs that velo. Like the velo uptick is why he's was the guy that he was last year. And I can't help but think a little bit about Quinn Matthews, who you look at what Doyle was doing at Mississippi in 2024, right? Doyle in 2024 averaged 92 miles per hour on his fastball.
Yeah.
This past year, he averaged 96.
Yeah.
Quinn Matthews had that massive uptick, and then he's struggled to recapture that, and it's affected him this year. So between that and the fact that I think there was clearly a focus from Doyle there. Is the splitter was his pitch all year, and that was the unlock pitch. I think that really gave him something else off of the fastball on top of the velocity, but he didn't really throw it. He only threw a couple that I saw, and both were balls. And he was mostly going with the breaking balls, and that slider is just not great. Um, that's the pitch that Duno hit a mile.
Yeah.
And the curveball, I think it lacks some teeth too. So I think it's going to be a process with him. A really talented left-handed arm. They don't grow on trees where guys that can touch 100 from the left side.
Yeah.
But I just kind of reminded me of this is probably going to be a bit of a process. And just a guy that is a fastball uptick guy of 4 miles per hour and is 63% usage of that fastball on the year in college. It just kind of reminded me of just watching him in that little outing of, okay, what else is working off of this? And it'll be interesting to follow.
Yeah. He's going to have to learn, and I mix it up a little bit more. Also, the reminder that he went to three schools in 3 years. I forgot about that, but yeah, that I just saw that again. He went Coastal, then Ole Miss, then the University of Tennessee. One more arm that I want to talk about here is Sam Aldegheri, who, in case you forgot, made his big league debut last year. Three starts at a 4.8 ERA. It was 13 innings of 12-run baseball. Just seven were earned, but he walked 10. This year, two appearances out of the bullpen for the Angels. Four and a third, 7 runs, five earned. In four and a third, he walked five. This year, 23 starts in Double A, 128 innings at a 3.70 ERA. He just got the bump up to Triple A. He will have two stints in the big leagues under his belt before he makes his Triple A debut. I don't need to talk about the development of Sam Aldegheri. I just really wanted to highlight that. He's
Yeah.
made three starts in the big leagues in 24. They did this with Caden Dana too. Like Dana threw in a 5-run game in the eighth inning, and they threw him out there for a 35 pitch inning when the Marlins were in Anaheim. And I was like, what are we doing here? And then Aldegheri, same deal. He throws in mop-up duty out of the bullpen.
You can go
What?
get somebody to do that. That isn't a guy that you acquired for your
These
closer.
are like their pitching prospects.
Yeah, yeah, it's outrageous. And then how about the Ryan Johnson situation? Um, Aldegheri though, like I think it's a depth arm outlook. We're going to talk about the Angels' top prospects. That list is live on justbaseball.com. Actually, the changeup though this year, as the years progress, has gotten better and better and better, and that looks like a potentially plus pitch. Now he's going to be very changeup dependent, but if you got that plus changeup, and then you can just locate the fastball, which he's been doing much better this year, and then he's got the taste breaking curveball and slider, he might be able to massage his way to being a five starter.
Yeah.
It helps a lot. Like the velo was more 90 to 91 earlier in the year, and the last few outings has been more 91, 92.
Yeah.
They've also been letting him just throw like crazy. The last four outings, he's thrown last four outings, he's thrown 400 pitches, 401 pitches. So
Whoa.
he's allowed to go 100 pitches every time out there, which I'm fine with that. If the plan is to develop him as a starter, but through that outing, his velos, those outings, the velos actually ticked up a little bit more. In his last outing, he had the highest average velo of the season at 92 and a half. If
Interesting.
he's sitting at 92, 93, I think he's got a shot to be a five starter. If it's 90, 91, it's a little bit tougher. I know it sounds like not that much of a difference.
But
It
it
is
is.
when you're so change up heavy and very location and execution dependent, but could be a decent depth arm to add to the fold here. And he's definitely enjoying one of the best stretches of his pro career. Last eight starts in Double A, 2.13 ERA,
Hmm.
20% K rate, 6% walk rate. So and limiting damage, 558 OPS against in those eight starts.
There we go. Last guy I want to talk about. It has nothing to do with performance. It just has to do with who he is in the dugout. Drew Gilbert. Drew Gilbert through 25 major league games. Yeah, hitting 230 with three homers, but he's bizarre. It's so funny. How about the video of him biting Robbie Ray's sleeve and like going, ah, did you see that one?
Yes. Well,
Dude,
so it's funny because I feel like normally they tell you like I feel like the vets tell you like calm down, right?
right.
I think the Giants love it. And I think he's helped give them a little bit of a spark here down the
It
stretch.
seems like they love it. I don't
It's
know what's going on.
it's just kind of like he's the equivalent of riling up the dog, I
Yes.
think. And you know what? I love it. We talked about Gilbert as it's funny because we're talking about how the trade wasn't the fleece that people thought it was,
Yeah.
but he's already just gone up there and I think filled the role that he can fill, which is kind of be that fourth outfielder, certain stretches be that eighth hitter that can give you some decent ABs, give you some wheels, and play. I think really good defense in a corner. But I think a lot of the production has come from four hits against the Rockies. But you have this spark plug off the bench that is clearly leaning into the role and is a maniac, and I think it's fun. But yeah, this is he was crazy at Tennessee too, right? Didn't he get tossed in the
He got tossed in the super regional for
which I don't know what
arguably
he
a strike
said, but
regional.
still, I feel like you can't toss a guy. And I'm more on Gilbert's team there, but at the same time, he must have said something to get
He
tossed
must
in.
have said something not great, especially because umpires like I think they understand the gravity of that. Like you cannot toss a first round pick in a super regional.
Yeah,
But that happened.
fiery guy. So it
Fiery
seems like
guy,
he's
but dude,
harnessing it in more fun ways, like biting your teammates' sleeves and letting them choke you.
it's so funny. Like, and for me, it's because he kind of just looks like an everyman. He's 5'11", and he looks
If
like if
that.
one of us like worked out for a month and then hopped into a major league dugout and was just like the hype guy. If he turns into an outfield version of Garrett Stubbs, I'm all the way in on that because he is. I mean, the video of him biting Robbie Ray and like shaking his head was so funny to me. And you can tell that Robbie Ray is like a dad of a couple of young kids because he just wasn't phased
Yeah,
whatsoever.
not at
I
all.
mean, dude, and like you got Chapman coming up and choking him, and he's like jawing at him too. It's so much fun to watch.
I love it. And here he is still. I mean, the bigs right now, he's hitting righties. So maybe he fills that role. And at the very least, I do think he's a good piece for them. And just kind of that fourth outfielder, maybe bulk platoon as he continues to develop. And then clearly, maybe an asset to the clubhouse. Probably the guy that you love when you're playing well. I'd like to see how they feel when they're not playing well with that,
Yeah.
but we'll see. The vibes are definitely high in San Francisco right now.
Yes, they are. That's what we got.
We got a heat sheet coming up later this week. And then what is the next prospects list?
Angels.
Angels top prospects, which we alluded to with Aldegheri. I told Jack it's not as bad as you think. I actually enjoyed writing some of these guys up. It's not good, but I do think it's interesting with some of the IFA guys and some of the arms that they have there. So hear us out there for later in the week, but excited for the heat sheet as well. Reminder, join our Discord. We are talking prospects in there all the time, especially when I'm going to be out in the Arizona Fall League. I'm going to be giving you guys a lot more video in there. Stuff. I don't post every single video I get out there when I'm covering it. So definitely something that if you're into that, would love to have you in there. We're also doing football stuff. Like Peter's talking his football picks, also fantasy football, all that good stuff is in a separate area of that. But for you baseball folks as well, we've been doing a lot of dynasty talk, and on the MLB chat's been a lot of fun. Griffin Conine did an Ask Me Anything in there. We're going to start doing more of those with players and prospects as well. And so a lot of fun stuff going on in that Discord. The link to join that is in our episode description. Best way to support the show. Also, farm system rankings are continuing to get updated, knocking out the AL West first, and we're almost done updating all the AL West. So keep an eye out for that as well. So always, thank you for listening. Look forward to talking prospects with you tomorrow.